Pseudo-wyverns. An unofficial subclassification hunters have deemed a unique subcategory of flying wyverns that differ from the standard variety of bipedal dragons whose forelimbs are still strong and fully developed wings, such as the King of the Skies, Rathalos. This subcategory is uniquely defined by their more quadrupedal stance and their forelimbs having developed back into strong, powerful legs, more developed as arms and legs, but with wings still attached and capable of minor flight or gliding at best. Members of this esteemed subcategory include the fearsome Tigrex and the Master of Stealth, Nargacuga. Those two are among the most well-respected of all monsters and the general monsters that come to mind when people think of pseudo-wyverns. However, there is a third making up a trio for them, and it is widely not given the respect it deserves, especially by Rage Gaming videos. And that monster is the Ice Tusk Wyvern, Barioth, a close cousin to both Nargacuga and Tigrex. Some believe to be a mixture of the two, and yet treated far worse than both, despite being oh so much more than either of them. Barioth, then, is an apex predator who rules over most winter lake locations and frozen tundras, such as the New World's Hoarfrost Reach, or the Old World's, well, tundra. It is very well suited for its role, as its white coloring perfectly allows it to blend in with the snow and winter colorings around it. Also, whereas Tigrex and Nargacuga respectively have their thick shell and tough bristly hairs to protect against damage, Barioth uniquely has both of them. A thick, tough shelled who stop and even deflect some of the strongest weapons hunters can create, and easily stop most claws and jaws of other wyverns that might threaten it. And blunt objects can be easily stopped by its thick fur that also insulates it from the harsh cold. Although it is important to note that as cubs, this fur is not quite as well suited for protecting them from the harsh winter weathers, so they are forced to stay in the caves where it is slightly warmer, where they nestle up with each other and their mother. Barioth is also quite well known to intimidate other lesser predators such as the Great Baggy or Kezu, easily chasing them out of their own territory or driving them away from any kill they may have just won themselves. On the topic of food, interestingly enough, despite its massive tusks that could easily cut through just about anything, Barioth prefers only the soft internal organs of its prey, which consist of the thick and meaty popos, the lithe but very meaty antecas, and in the old world, the Lagambi. Back to what I was saying, however, they only tend to eat the soft internal organs of their prey rather than the tougher meat and tissue of, well, the rest of the body. A bit wasteful, one might say, but hey, they're the apex predator. They're bound to be a bit spoiled. Apexes as they are not quite unchallenged. Things like Tigrex, Zamtrios, Eboniodogaron, Glacial Ignector, generally other apex level monsters that could be in the area, as well as the classic invaders, Rajang and Deviljho can give it a run for its money, but it is not a guaranteed victory for them. Barioth can certainly hold its own, but as stated previously, they have the advantage of being camouflaged in their natural environment. They can hide in even only a few mere inches of snow and leap out to ambush their prey or rivals and drive those deadly amber steak knives directly into their opponent's throat for an almost guaranteed death blow. And if not, the victim of the attack will most certainly have a heavily bleeding injury that will prevent them from carrying out the fight. During the mating season, then, male Barioth are well known to travel around showing off their very sturdy and lengthy, impressive tusks.
My God, I thought he meant penis!
To the females in hopes of attracting a mate. Some of the bolder members are even willing to go so far as to invade a female's territory in order to show off and hopefully propagate their genus. However, this behavior is risky, for if the female has already mated or simply finds herself unimpressed by what the Barioth has to offer, the male Barioth, she will attack him and mess his whole world up. So, and they have to be very careful to make sure that if they're going to go as far as to enter the female's territory, they better make sure that A, no one else has come around who show off to her first and win her favor, or that they better be packing. And when the females are ready, they will find themselves a nice deep cave in which to have their precious cubs. They are viviparous, that word, and have 2 to 3 cubs at a time. It is unknown if male and female Barioth mate for life, or at least until their pups have reached full maturity, but it is likely, as the females surely must stay close to the pups during their infancy, lest they either freeze to death or, worst case scenario, find themselves at the mercy of a hungry Kezu or Giganox. And any smart hunter knows those two monsters are not well known for their mercy. Shut up, Boa Boa. One might find themselves wondering then, but wait. Yes, Kezu is a relatively low monster, but still, should one find themselves alone with it in a cave, even mighty Tigrex and Nargacuga, who are also known to bully the lesser wyvern, at least when it's out in the open, in caves, they surely find themselves at a disadvantage and can even be made the creature's prey. But why not Barioth? Well, that would be due to its fur once again. In addition to insulating from the heat, it is also surprisingly insulated pelt against electricity, Kezu's bread and butter, which Tigrex and Nargacuga are both chiefly weak to. While those two may fall to thunder monsters, Barioth can, but is far less likely to. However, all this insulation against the cold does make the obvious point that it is vulnerable to the heat and fire. Also, their immune system is not the greatest. They are also quite weak to poison. Any hunter possessing a dual wield of a fire and poison weapon will find themselves quite capable against a Barioth. Wyvern Strife for the win. Ow. Where Tigrex is a fight of pure strength and Nargacuga is a battle of speed, Barioth, conversely, is a battle of wits. Amongst the three, it is considered the most intelligent, and while an apex predator, it is surprisingly not very territorial or aggressive. It is quite happy to share its environment with me as long as I give it its proper respect and distance. As it knows, I, as a hunter of the Research Commission, am not a threat to it. That was because of the Boa Boa. They're the threat. But while Tigrex and Nargacuga are intelligent, they are rather straightforward creatures, merely charging, pouncing, and swiping with their claws and or wing blades. Not to say Barioth does not do the same, but it has a far more varied arsenal. Leaping from great distances to attack quickly and disengage just as fast, it also is known to leap onto and off of walls in order to properly set up its next attack and pounce on a hunter from a position the hunter cannot reach with most melee weaponry. So it can set up its attacks without the threat of being attacked itself. And they also uniquely add elemental attacks to the pseudo-wyvern experience, being able to cough up powerful balls of ice that somehow create ice tornadoes. In the old world, this attack also came with the unique property of freezing a hunter into basically a giant snowball, restricting their torso movements completely and leaving them as essentially a helpless human snowman that can only run away from such a dangerous beast with no means to defend themselves. But apparently in the new world, hunters have found a way to circumvent this problem, as it has not been an issue since the arrival in the new world. Also uniquely, while Tigrex and Nargacuga are able to glide with their wings, it is temporary and they cannot sustain themselves in full-fledged flight. Barioth, however, is actually capable of lifting its body into the air and remaining there for quite some time.
Out of the two of us, which one can actually fly?
It is often considered that Barioth is the weakest of the trio of pseudo-wyverns, or at the very least, weaker than Tigrex. However, I would contest this theory, as Tigrex has never been shown to do this. Any minute now, boys. There we go. While the pseudo-wyverns often brawl with brute wyverns, Tigrex and Nargacuga have never been shown to be able to throw around large brute wyverns, such as the Bonboro, with ease, as Barioth had just displayed the ability to do. So how is Barioth so suited to rule over the Hoarfrost Reach and other such frozen climates with such effectiveness? It is equipped with the most perfect natural weaponry. Its thick forelimbs allow it to easily power across the terrain, and the thick, powerful claws at the end ensure that it can firmly grasp onto any surface, no matter how thick or slippery upon it the ice that accumulates most surfaces in the area may be. Not to mention, its wing arms are also equipped with these impressive, also thick and powerful spikes that allow it to sink deeply into any surface it may latch onto, such as the walls during combat, much like ice climbers with their pickaxes, sinking deep into the ice walls to ensure they will not come tumbling down. Also, the tail is equipped with much similar spikes, as well as being a two-pronged weapon itself that can also sink deep into the ice, and will certainly ward off any wayward attacker. And lastly, but most obviously, its powerful and impressive amber fangs that cannot even be contained by its deadly jaws. Powerful and serrated, nearly as long as a human arm, they will surely sink into most targets with ease, no matter how thick their hide, and cause gruesome damage that will likely end in the target bleeding out. A cruel way to go, but quick and effective. These ensure that the Barioth will not be taken down easily. However, should the spikes and claws on its arm be damaged, the Barioth will lose its ability to keep traction on icy surfaces, and its ability to move around the terrain will be greatly hampered. Causing it a massive disadvantage to just about anything you could name. The talons and spikes being broken off a Barioth's wing arm is effectively a death sentence. But hopefully from this, you have all gained a greater understanding and appreciation for the underappreciated third member of the trio of pseudo-wyverns. Truly, it is not a mere carbon copy of Tigrex or Nargacuga, but a monster all of its own. And some might even say better than its more popular counterparts. Don't at me, Rage Gaming Videos.
What?
However, there is just a bit more to Barioth's tale, as there are two more forms of the creature. The Sand Barioth, which dwells in desert regions, but not in the New World, so I couldn't get footage. And the very recently discovered variant, the Frostfang Barioth. Far more aggressive than its normal counterparts, this Barioth has a control over ice that dwarfs its counterpart. The reason for this is unknown. Perhaps as a variant it has lived much longer than a normal Barioth and has discovered new ways to increase its power, or perhaps similarly to Shrieking Legiana, who its powers very much match, it has something to do with the presence of Velkhana, perhaps Velkhana bestowing some form of power upon it, or perhaps its ice having to be a grade above what it once was in order to compete with the mighty Elder Dragon. Whatever the case, this Barioth control of ice is quite terrifying and impressive. Capable of shooting wide streams and pathways of rigid air and frozen liquid, freezing the ground in front of it in a large margin, and should a hunter be trapped within the ice it has created, their feet will be frozen to the ground, forcing them to struggle to free themselves, at which point they are all but at the mercy of Frostfang Barioth. And mercy it will not show. Its fur is thicker, its hide is stronger, and its fangs are harder than any ice a hunter may come across. Allowing them to pierce through even elder dragons, bringing a swift end to any unfortunate enough to be on the receiving end of those mouth daggers. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed that. This is only my second attempt at a lore video, so hopefully I did decently. Again, there was no lore on Barioth before this, so I figured, you know, someone had to step up and give the big old ice tusk boy the respect and information about him that he deserves to be shown and have informed. I don't know. Yeah. A lot of people seem to really hate him, but I don't know. I think he may be definitely my favorite amongst Tigrex, Nargacuga, and himself, despite the fact I grew up with Monster Hunter 2 on the PSP and only had Tigrex to fight for basically until Iceborne came out. Some people may not enjoy the fight, say it's a bit complex or whatever, what have you, or they just don't enjoy it and think it's just a rip-off of Tigrex or Nargacuga, but I find it's definitely its own creature, and the fight is really engaging. How it, you know, can actually fly, shoot ice tornadoes, and jump off of the walls like a ninja. That's something you'd expect Nargacuga to be doing, but it doesn't, so. Barioth definitely has its own unique flair that, you know, I felt needed to be addressed. And hopefully you guys all think I did a good job here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this, want to see more, go ahead and slash that subscribe button. If you like this video, give a quick cut to the like button. Leave a comment down below and share it around with all your friends. And let me know if you'd want to see a different monster. I still do plan to do more, but if you have a specific monster in mind, especially if it hasn't gotten its own lore video by someone else yet, let me know and I'll try to get around to it. But until then, my people, stay sharp.